Hi folks, welcome back to B Mills Farm. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Just getting the cows fed, watered. You can see some bald spots there. We're dealing with a lice issue right now. They've all got an ivermectin drench. So hopefully that'll take care of it. It's just one of those things you can't really do much about. If the ivermectin doesn't work, which I'm sure it will, better weather definitely will help. So hopefully it clears up and better weather is coming. So more on the topic of homesteading. The plan is to have animals and breeding animals that I can be totally self-sufficient with, meaning I don't need to buy feed for them or very little feed. So where that comes tricky is with pigs, chickens, and of course cows. You got to buy hay. But with the pigs, I'm going to start with a pasture grazing pig, and so I'll use Idaho pasture pigs. And like I said before, we're going to get some goats for milk, and anything that the pigs can't get from pasture or they can find themselves, they will get supplemented with milk. Chickens, I'm going to push the chickens really, really hard to be completely self-sufficient. I really don't feed them much as it is now. They get a lot of their supplement. They get a lot of their supplement feed picking through wasted hay from the cows. At the moment, these guys are fed corn. So a lot of the corn just goes out the backside of the cow, and the chickens go through and clean all that up. So in this situation, they're pretty well supplemented. They're staying fat and they look really nice. Their feathers are super clean, and they just look like healthy chickens. So I don't think they're lacking at the moment. So in addition to milk and other supplements, foraging for themselves, the sheep are pretty much, they're going to be almost 100% self-sufficient. People graze sheep through the winter. They act a lot like a deer, and they'll actually dig through the snow and continue to graze through the winter. So as long as I don't have too many animals, so that I still have plentiful forage for them in the pastures, I can just keep rotating them through the pastures during the winter. If it gets really bad, obviously I'll have to feed hay if the snow gets really deep, which luckily these past 4 or 5 years around here, we really haven't been getting the snow we used to. So I think it's a reasonable goal to have them feed themselves. Goats, they're a little more problematic. They don't really like getting cold or wet. So I probably will end up buying in hay for a while, at least until I can hopefully eventually get my own hay equipment. It'll just be really old, really basic, cheap hay equipment that I can put up just enough hay to get a few animals through the winter. So that leaves basically, I think, cows is all I haven't covered. Cows are tricky because I love them and I want to have them around, but their return, even not business related at all, but their return on a product, a calf, is basically 3 years. You have a cow, gets bred, has the calf, and at the soonest 2 years you'll have beef. So it's really a 3-year investment before you get anything from a cow. unless you have a dairy cow and you're getting milk, but that's what the goats are for. So cows. I don't really know what the future is for cows, even not just for me, but as a whole. There's live animals now bringing $4 a pound. That's it. It was really hard before to make money with cows. Now it's impossible, basically, unless you're growing all their feed and getting government subsidies to pay yourself back for all the money you lost. Cows as a business just keeps getting worse literally by the day. So there's probably going to be a cow shortage, a cattle shortage. People just aren't going to want them if they can't make money and they realize how much money they're losing. Cattle are going to be either really cheap or there's not going to be many of them because of that fact. So I think the smart move is to get goats, sheep, ruminant animals that can utilize my pasture, utilize my land really well. I have a ton of wooded land that the goats would really utilize, and they're inexpensive to buy. Goats and sheep are, less than $200 a piece to buy. They give twins every year, so you multiply quickly, and they reach maturity quickly too. So, within a year, you can have twins from a sheep, from a ewe. They'll give you twins, and within that year, you can process both of them and fill the freezer. Again, with cows, it's 3 years. So we'll see what happens. But again, the goal is to be super self-sufficient, raise self-sufficient animals. And now, of course, that seems extreme. And of course, we're going to still have the occasional pizza or go out to dinner or whatever. But for the most part, we want to be just taking from this land that we have here. And in addition to the supplemental feed through hay and whatever, we're going to grow a garden. And if anyone's grown a garden, the absolute abundance you have at certain times of the year. So you go from nothing to way too much, and all the critters can use the extras of everything. So between milk, being able to supplement animals with milk, and scraps from the garden, I think we can pull it off. Now you may wonder where all this is coming from, the change from being business oriented to just being self-sufficient is, one, it's very hard to be a profitable business of any significance. Could we be profitable? Yeah. Is the profit gonna change our lives? Probably not. So there are some things that will be farm related in addition to the farm that hopefully will generate income that is not animal related. More on that in the future. But the goal is to just bring our family home, be home as much as possible. My wife loves her job, but when you really start thinking about this roller coaster that we're on in society today, I listened to a podcast and it really just hit home that when you have kids, you really have about 16 good summers with them. They become independent. They don't want to hang out with you. They have their own family. And it could be even less, 16 good summers, that's not a lot. So between working all the time and sending your kids to a babysitter to have the babysitter raise them more than you do, send them to public school to have the school raise them more than you do, it just kind of burns me up. The way things are going, I don't want my kids to go that way. I want to bring things back. Not saying that modern times aren't good, but I think we've really lost touch with this creation that we have and the abundance that comes with it. And I think all too often we just want to have kids because it's cool, it's fun, and then, you know, send them away as much as possible to have somebody else take care of them. And you just see them a few hours a day, and I'm just not interested in that. I love kids. We want to have our own kids. We do foster care. We love that, and we want to keep pursuing that. I think it's something that we're called to do, is foster care. And unfortunately, we have to turn a lot of kids away because we don't have a babysitter that's on hand whenever we need them. It's really hard to find a babysitter. It's really hard to afford a babysitter if you do find one. And that's just something we're trying to work through and see how we can get more time at home so that we can, first of all, it'd be better for my wife and I. It'd be better for the kids, and any other kids that we're blessed to bring into our house, it would also benefit. So lots going on up here as always. It's my ways of thinking are always changing. My ways of going about things are always changing. But if there's one thing for sure, it's that prioritizing your family and your kids is absolutely number one to me. And if we can disconnect from a lot of the system, not be so dependent on money and grocery stores and new vehicles and motorcycles and four-wheelers and all this stuff that just ends up controlling us, I'm done with all that. I want to be here. I want to raise a family. I want to raise animals, and I want to live a life worth living. So if that's something that is of interest to you and you want to follow along, I would appreciate you subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, and we'll just go through this journey together. I hope that we can grow the YouTube channel to maybe make some income, and that would help a ton. So if you like what's going on here, follow along. Until next time, keep farming. We'll see you later.